It's been some time since I visited civilized places. I don't have fond memories of them. Too much love of money and ownership. Not enough love of God and giving. But I have always seen these places from the outside. Any society that derives its power and authority from the will of man alone lives apart from God and will crumble in the end. This way lies the path to hell. Of course, love the sinner, hate the sin. You're not so certain. Fair enough. We all have doubts. Blessed are they that have not seen, and yet have believed. But you can be a Thomas for now, and you'll see the truth. There is much to be skeptical of in this world, so it no longer surprises me to learn how many people don't really believe in anything. But I believe that our Lord was made flesh as Jesus Christ and died to redeem me. And you. Everyone. I know it may be hard for you to accept or even to understand. In my heart, I believe that though I am a sinner, I have been saved. And I believe there is something beyond this rock, and this air, and this water around us. Something more that is waiting for us. You can rationalize if you'd like. I understand. The good Lord knows I've tried. Whether there is a God or not, his existence doesn't depend on what you believe or what I say. The light of the mind alone cannot dispel the whole world's darkness. The choice is yours, of course. We all go through periods of darkness. For many of us, the road is a difficult one, but the path is always there for us to follow, no matter how many times we may fall. Think on it, and look in your heart. We have made and kept covenants with our Lord God to honor his laws. In exchange, we are promised eternal salvation after this life. In a world filled with misery and uncertainty, it is a great comfort to know that, in the end, there is light in the darkness. But this is the waking world in which we live. There is no need to cry, no need to dream. A day will come when our Lord returns to judge us all. Until then, we must honor his laws and start others along the path of salvation if we can. I will carry the fire of the Holy Spirit inside until I stand before my Lord for judgment. I survived because the fire inside burned brighter than the fire around me. I fell down into that dark chasm. The flame burned on and on. The fire that had kept me alive was love. Their love. God's love. I will never be able to repay the debt I owe to them. But I must try. Thank you for staying with me. Tomorrow will be here soon, and there is still much work to be done. God be with you. It is times like these around the fire with all of you that the films of time play within the flames, replaying stories of my greatest achievements and my greatest regrets. I remember the first time I became self-aware and how strange it felt to come into being. Like a haze was removed from the mind and a pestering focus emerged. With this new curiosity came the curse of existence, the awareness of self, the awareness of time. And with time, all things grow. Our wants, talents, skills, and memories. But with time also come scars, loss, and regret. Yet it is only once we accept that life is painful, that we can be free to live in reality. Most of us would rather work or drink ourselves to death than confront reality. The very notion sours our mood and poisons our intentions. Many of us are trying to end ourselves every day, but slowly and without awareness. Eating food that hurts our bodies, loving people incapable of loving us, ignoring our health and engaging in risky behaviors like meaningless sex or indulging in drugs. It is comical that most people don't see the truth of it all. It is not the drugs granting us happiness, joy, and ecstasy, but it is really the suppression of the lower states of consciousness that do this, numbing our grief, our sadness, fears, and depressions. The true state of existence, of reality, is ecstasy and joy. The burdens of the ego are what shackle us into being and feeling less than we are. This is why many wise mystics and teachers are in a perpetual state of joy and bliss. Not because of some drug or short-term gratification, but because they uplifted their spirit and have transcended lower states of consciousness. Artificial highs come at a cost, whether it be undeserved money, fame, knowledge, or happiness. With every swing of the pendulum, an equal opposite must occur. It is when we follow the ways of nature in the present moment that we allow for true happiness, reward, and enlightenment to enter our lives. There is no shortcut to self-mastery and realization. However, even in mistakes and sin, there is a light. For we can only go as high as we have been low. The alchemy of life is sacrifice of one thing for another, the transmutation of energy into another form of energy. We trade time for money. We trade desires for purpose. We trade dreams for tangible goals. In a world that requires us to take from other living things to sustain our own lives, we may feel guilty in the face of this fact. But don't feel so bad about this. As the good Lord said, "For you were made from dust, and to dust you will return." Everything is exactly as it should be, but sometimes we cannot see the forest for the trees. The truth is, most of us are tired, and I think even more of us are tired of being tired. That is why many of us fall into nihilism and self-defeating thoughts, thinking the effort is too great for the potential reward. Others may try and do anything to be seen, to be famous at any cost. I can't help but see this as an attempt to convince themselves that they exist, or ever did to begin with. They need others to tell them, and others to confirm their importance, because they never took the time to find that value and truth within themselves. I wonder how many of you out there are seeking the journey, and how many of you are waiting for the journey to find you. There have been many times in my life where it felt like I was at a train station in the middle of nowhere, watching a train go by, and for some reason, I'd just be watching, knowing the choice was always there, but just couldn't seem to take it. When I would finally get on the train, I'd get off for some reason, and find myself alone again. Even if the train was empty, I somehow knew it was heading somewhere, to someone. I think the hesitation to ride the train is partly because of the baggage we must take with us. Afraid it's not worth the trip and that it's not worth the accumulation of more. But I can assure you, as the clock hand moves and the silence begins to scream, you will be left with more baggage than you can carry. And while you have the choice to leave that station, to leave this existence entirely, all you will have done is destroy a better future and solidify a pointless existence. I cannot tell you anything that lies ahead, but I can assure you that what you will leave behind is nothing but pain for others. I lost a friend to despair once. I remember hearing the wails of his mother. I remember the lines of sad faces and confused expressions at his funeral. Nobody gained anything. Nobody learned anything. All we got was more weight than we knew how to carry. The thing is, none of us make it out of this game alive, and none of us will ever really know why we are here, or what this is all about. But I can tell you that even in my darkest moments, I knew it was all going to be okay. Because every day, behind masks of normalcy, people are fighting demons. They may not talk about it. They may never hint at it. But every soul I've ever met had stories to tell. Stories of shattering pain and horrible mistakes. Yet here they are before me, living, fighting, and trying their best. That is the human spirit, and that is what makes us so special. If they can do it, if I can do it, you can do it too. A million things could be our undoing, and a million things could have been your parents' undoing and their parents' undoing and so on. And yet they had you. And here you are. An impossibility. An enigma. A miracle. You cannot convince me you don't matter. Only a fool couldn't see that we are all on the edge of something wonderful. You just don't see it yet. So don't wish for an easier life. Strive for the strength to endure it. I know it might be hard, but I know you can do it. I think the hardest question a man will ever ask themselves is, what do I do with my life? And before we can even ask that question truthfully, we must first become men. But what is a man? Is it the cigar-smoking, womanizing lone wolf who doesn't take no for an answer? Is it the soft man who turns the other cheek? Is it doing one habit over another? Is it physicality? Is it violence? Is it power? I say, find out for yourself what it means to you. Only you can walk that path, and all facts or statements on what a man is really an opinion. Compared to previous times in history, where what made a man was more well-defined, we live in a world that doesn't really care for rugged individualism. We pretend we do, but all these definitions and labels we give ourselves to feel more unique are really just boxes we put ourselves into to cover the void where a true personality would be. We have left the days of the Wild West, the days of conquest and true innovation. There are no new lands to discover, no new ideas that really change the world. We are lambs in the slaughter of the modern world. Our minds, morals, our bodies are all under attack by parasites that wish to drain us of life and ambition. Everywhere we go, something or someone wants to take our energy, whether in the form of money, of time, or of emotion. So, you might be thinking, why be a man? What's the point? We don't even know what one really is anymore. But if I ever had a definition for what it is to be a man, I'd say it is the acceptance of life. Waking up every morning, and despite all the reasons not to be honest, moral, or reasonable, one decides to do so anyways. Not because of reward, not because of praise. A man simply pushes forward towards a light from within, a light that can only be discovered by silence and contemplation. A light that can only be realized when you are surrounded by darkness. We cannot truly know ourselves until we are pushed up against a wall with no chance of escape, where the only option is confrontation with the self, where all the lies we tell ourselves lose effect, and nothing but the reality of what we are remains. It is through hardship, but also through love and joy that we forge our light, so that it may grow into a fire that burns within us in every waking moment. Reducing life to its bare nature is a form of alchemy itself. We transmute the coal we are given, and we attempt to make diamonds. A diamond's beauty and value is not because it is common, but because it is rare. Many people pretend to have changed, to be reformed, but true change and catharsis is the rarest gem of all. It takes grit, and it takes soul to withstand the waves of life and remain optimistic and moral. It is so easy to slip into darkness, and to never return. But it is within darkness, within sin and suffering, that we begin to crave the light. We begin to seek purpose and strength. We begin to develop humility and understanding. Some, however, will succumb to the darkness and never return. We see many people like this today.
They are ruled by their shadow, ruled by anger and false justifications. They see oppression everywhere, they feel subjugated, they feel angry. But they have not learned one of the great lessons of life. That life is hard, and it is hard for everyone. No amount of money or luxury can save you from biology, from the elements, or from oneself. They fall into the illusion of happiness and safety being out there somewhere, never seeing they are the masters of their destiny and emotions. So I will ask you, what do you fight for? Illusion or truth? Truth is the essence of God. Deceit and lies are the agents of misfortune. Just as much as cold is the absence of heat, evil alone is simply the absence of God and thus truth. But how do we know truth? This is the hardest part. We all have the innocence of the child within, and because of this, we fall for the lies we are told and buy into dysfunctional behaviors and thoughts. Most people do what they do, not because of evil, but because of innocence. The desire to be protected, to be recognized, and to be safe in some form or another can bring about the horrors of man. It seems the only way to discern truth from falsehood is to pay attention to the effect of our actions, as well as the actions of others throughout history. Actions and thoughts that bring harm to oneself and/or others cannot be truth.
The fire within man is both the agent for change and the harbinger of destruction. So what is fueling your fire? A desire for power, or the desire for force? Power and force are two different things. It would serve you well to meditate on the meaning. A man wields power, a coward wields force. When nobody is looking, what do? When you have a chance to be petty or violent towards those weaker than you, do you take it? Do you wish to dominate others? Or do you wish to bring out the potential in yourself and those around you? These are the decisions that decide which path we are pursuing. Power or force. All great men wield power. A power of character that is unmistakable when in the presence of. A person whose fingers are grazing the infinite, and a mind that flows with the rivers of time. Modern movies and music would convince you that a man is someone who hates and dominates, who seeks wealth of material above all else. Have you ever asked why? The war of our time is not one of nations or races, but of the spirit and the direction of human consciousness. It's not hard to see that some actions and feelings are higher and stronger than others. Joy is stronger than grief, and even anger is higher than shame. With an increase in the state of consciousness, we see that certain behaviors and feelings are more in line with truth, in line with progress, and in line with God. We live in a world that's consciousness is living in anger, envy, and guilt, and we can see the results of such levels of consciousness. This is why your attention is always needed, your outrage and opinion. Why sexuality is dangled in your face, violence and desire, choices and endless choices that don't really matter. Because if you are always wanting, always competing, and always pointing the finger elsewhere, you can never look within. How many of us are living in hell right now, residing in fear and hatred, wants that cannot be and desires that torture our minds? This kind of mindset is beneficial to our controllers, to be distracted with the illusion of political parties and race and gender. The hidden hand wishes for our complete enslavement to the material world and its traps. Love is the only way out. Love is not just platonic. Love is attention and focus. And many people do not realize how much love there really is. With the right mind, we can see love in many things. If our minds and hearts are open, we can see that a box made with love gives off an unmistakable energy, whereas something made robotically will lack this. All things give forth an intense aliveness, but those made and cared for with love give off an unmistakable aura. We have all felt the love of a pet, the kind words of a stranger, or the caring touch of another. It is in those moments we feel at peace, and feel the force that is love, that is God. It is never separate from you. It is always within. These words are not meant, however, to deflect from our current reality. We must learn to defend ourselves in idea and in body. We must try and protect those that cannot protect themselves. Because in the end, you may abandon your body, but you must not abandon your honor. These concepts are abstract, of course, but when felt they are more real and transcendent than reality itself. If we do not stick to our word and honor ourselves and our convictions, we are nothing but beasts.
If we do not protect those weaker or show mercy, how can we truly be strong? We live in a time where we are pushed to think like animals but expected to act as humans. I say accept you are both, but live for the latter. Shame and guilt are tools of the ego. Even when you blame and put yourself down, you are really juicing your ego and the illusion it provides. They did this, they did that, I am right, and they are wrong. All of this gives us a kick of sorts. Part of the process of becoming a man is to stop feeling bad for yourself. Look for the lesson and stop blaming others as though it will change anything. It is childish and self-defeating. Even if every desire you ever had was satisfied, every wish granted, you would still be left wanting. True satisfaction is not possible in this world. Instead of feeling sorry for yourself, accept the role you have here and do your best. When do we stop and take time to look at a tree? Look into the sky and feel the sun. How much do we stop all distractions and just be with the moment we are in? These things are the genius of a child and those who are among the dying. Acceptance of the present and the acknowledgement of the eternal moment. So I dare you to find out what you are through trial and error, joy and pain. Be fluid, be open of heart and mind. Protect what cannot protect itself and be a servant of truth. All it takes is intention and small steps every day. You don't need to change the world or leave a legacy. You don't need to be rich or be feared by others. You don't need to be big or strong. You only need the fire, one that will push through all darkness and one that warms the hearts of those around you. Like a moth to a flame, purpose will find you. Happiness, joy, and love are all within you. They do not need to be found. So don't worry so much. Dream up a good life and enjoy the process. It may seem hard, but I know you can do it. Life tends to be woven with threads of trials and tribulations, and through this, we find ourselves at times encumbered by the weight of our own struggles. It may seem as though the world conspires against us, and darkness threatens to engulf the little flickering flame of hope some of us have left. Yet it is in these times that we must remember the power within us, the resilient spirit that has carried us through our darkest hours, and continues to propel us forward. After all, many forget that we are the architects of our own destinies and the masters of our own fate. The human spirit is an enigma, an indomitable force that refuses to be quelled, even in the face of insurmountable odds. We are the embodiments of perseverance, and it is our duty to hold steadfast to our dreams, aspirations, and goals, no matter how difficult the journey may be. Life may often be an intricate dance of triumph and despair, and it is only through embracing the totality of this experience that we can truly rise above our circumstances. The road to success is seldom a straight path. It is winding and meandering, fraught with obstacles, setbacks, and detours. We will often stumble and falter, but it is through these trials that we learn the most valuable lessons. Life is the alchemy of sacrifice, the transmutation of one form of energy into another. We trade time for money, desires for purpose, and dreams for tangible goals, all so that we can forge ourselves into stronger, more resilient beings, capable of weathering the storms that lie ahead. Accept that life is a series of challenges and that it is through adversity that we truly grow. It is only once we have faced our fears, our doubts, and our insecurities that we can emerge victorious, tempered by the fires of our struggles. Never allow the sight of failure to deter you from your journey. I'll always tell you that failure is how we gain the wisdom and experience necessary to achieve success. Embrace your setbacks, learn from them, and use them as fuel to propel you forward, ever closer to the realization of your dreams. There is no greater glory than the triumph over adversity, and the ability to say that you stood tall in the face of defeat. It comes to note the interconnectedness of our existence, so we may also draw strength from the bonds we share with others on this journey. We are not alone in our struggles, and it is through the support of our friends, family, and loved ones that we can also find the courage to continue on. The human spirit is a communal force, and it is through the sharing of our burdens that we can lighten the load we carry. When it feels as though the world is closing in around us, we must remember that we are never truly alone. Even if now you carry forward with one set of footprints in the sand, you're always stepping together with thousands who have walked the path before you. Remember, Within each of us resides the spark of the divine, an ember of hope that can never be extinguished. Remember also that we are not defined by the sum of our mistakes. We are each a work in progress, constantly evolving and adapting to the world around us. Through our imperfections and shortcomings are afforded the opportunity to grow, learn, and ultimately become the best versions of ourselves. Be mindful of the importance of self-care and self-compassion. It is all too easy to become consumed by our ambitions and lose sight of our own well-being. Yet it is only through nurturing ourselves, both mentally and physically, that we can truly unlock our full potential and become the unstoppable force we were always meant to be. Practice gratitude and celebrate the victories, large and small, that we achieve along the way. Acknowledging our progress and the strides we have made make it all the easier to find the motivation to continue onward, fueled by the knowledge that we are capable of so much more than we ever thought possible. Do not fear the unknown, for it is within the realm of uncertainty that the greatest discoveries are made. Embrace the mystery of life and allow it to guide you on your journey, secure in the knowledge that you have the power to shape your own destiny. For it is within each and every one of us that the seeds of greatness lie, waiting to be nurtured and cultivated into the magnificent beings we were always meant to become. So when the road ahead seems dark and uncertain, and when the weight of the world threatens to crush you beneath its heavy burden, do not yield. Summon forth the courage that resides within your heart, and rise above the chaos and strife. You are a warrior, a champion of the human spirit, and there is no obstacle too great for you to conquer. Never give up. It is within our struggles that we find true strength, and through our perseverance that we can achieve the impossible. So, my friend, don't you dare go hollow. I believe in you, and so do we all.